watercolor artists. It's a fabulous day to paint. So grab your materials and we are going to tackle a cactus, a prickly pear cactus. I'm going to teach you some history about it in a minute. But first, let's get, you're not going to believe the cool thing we're going to do with Q-tips. More absorbent the better. These are kind of hard, but they'll work. White paint marker or a white gel pen. And I am using a 6x6 size. If you guys are using smaller, you can use smaller, or bigger, you can use bigger, but I have a number 12 and a number 8 brush. They're both Princeton. This one is not, this because I didn't have a large one. I have a 12 and an 8. I do recommend Princeton or another brush that holds a lot of water well. I have a clean water jar and I have a water jar for cleaning brushes. So you want to have both because it will influence the tones, and we're going to work on layers today. And you really want your layers to be sort of pristine and separate from each other. Okay, today I am going to have a little bit of undersea green that you can use a green and mix in a little bit of blue or even brown to it to get I'm going to go for the cooler colors on this. I'm not going for yellows and warm tones. I'm going to try to kind of keep it cool even with the flowers at the top. Do you know they're called tuna? The flowers at the top, the fruit, I'm going to do a little bit of a purpley pink. So I'm going to kind of keep it all in the cool tone. So for that, I'm going to have Quin Rose. And I'll mix some things here and you guys can see what we're doing. If you're an absolute beginner, this is pretty easy to tackle. I'm going to do an intermediate one as well. If you haven't done glazing before at all, this is a good way to start because it's kind of a low pressure one. I took a look at some ideas, iterations of this before I started, and I kind of like it with the blue background as well. And I made a mini. This is kind of fun too. You can do minis, you can do lots of things. But I'm in Austin, Texas, and prickly pears are everywhere. We have them in our neighborhood. I have them on my running route. I just love them so much. We have blooming ones and the fruit ones. Beautiful. Okay, guys, let's get started. So what I want to do is grab some of that undersea green, or like kind of a greenish, a dullish green. I'm not looking for really bright myself, but guys, this is your painting. You're painting your mojo. You do what you want with it. I'm going to grab a little bit of phthalo, like a turquoisey blue. You can take any blue. I'm also going to use cerulean blue. And this is all going to be kind of a wash in the background. I may dab a tiny yellow, so I'm going to keep it here in case. I'm not really thinking I will, but you never know. And then I'm going to get a little brown. We're going to use some of that later. In some areas, I'm also going to drop in a tiny bit of purple into some of the petals. The petals are called nopals, and I think it's called a nopal cactus in Mexico. I'll tell you the history in a second. So we've got all this going and we're ready to go. Okay, guys, we're not doing wet on wet. You could, let me grab it. You could do wet on wet. I did that and tried it. You can do that too. I just wanted you guys to see the difference. It's just less control. When you're glazing, you can kind of choose where it's going. I'm going to have an entire tutorial about layering and glazing and how amazing it is and why and when and how you use it. But basic is to be able to control your paints a little bit more and to be able to build up really interesting tones like the Renaissance artists. We're going to be able to do a lot. It's under glazing. So we're kind of doing that now. Let's do it. We are going to layer a little here, and I have a bluish green there. I am going to take a look at where my sun is coming from. You guys always want to have that in mind. Our sun is coming from the top left. So let's keep that in mind on everything we're doing. So while we're even doing the underpainting, we can kind of get in a little bit. This is our first layer, and this is called our first wash. So while we get in the first wash, we can go ahead and, you know, just do some of the work in the first step. So we can get that in here. And guys, also I'm gonna talk about that now while we're getting this going, and I'm gonna show you on the screen. But when you get a reference photo, I took one myself and I also took one from online. You want to crop it till it's an interesting composition. So for me, this was interesting getting rid of, I didn't want them to be standing on the ground. I just kind of wanted to have a little more interesting zoomed in look. And that just that's you choose what you want in it. You can crop things out. You don't have to copy photographs, obviously. Exactly. This one I'm doing Super Blue down here. Super Blue, I think, is a calypso artist from the Caribbean. I may be wrong. But we're doing Super Blue down there. You guys from Trinidad or anywhere, tell me if I'm right. My husband's family is from there, and it is the absolute most warm, fun culture out there. Okay, we have, I'm running out of my green a little bit, so I'm gonna get some more. And we're on your first wash, and look what I did left that there. So that's not gonna blend well for me, but we're going back. So I added extra water down here to take care of that. I do like to jump around a lot. I have to kind of focus myself. I think that's an issue. I get so excited. I was so excited about the blue that I just jumped over. Okay, so we have this. And I'm gonna add just a little bit more blue on our over here, maybe a little water that down. So see our things are drying really light because this is our first layer. Okay, while we're doing this, are you ready? I used to teach world history through high school, world US economics, and art. It's been an amazing journey. I've taught everywhere from every grade, from kinder through third grade for 3 years. I wish I could get back of my life. That was the craziest. And then high school and adults. So it's been a great run, but let's go back to history. Did I mention that I jump around a lot? Let's go right back to the history lesson. 1325. The Aztec people in Mexico were wanderers, nomads, and were looking for a place to settle. They got a prophecy from their sun god that told them, where you find an eagle with a snake in its mouth on a prickly pear cactus, when you see that sign, you know that is your land to settle. That's where you need to go. So they did, and that's on the Mexican flag today. And the prickly pear cactus has a lot to offer, not just in Mexico, but a lot of other places. The fruit is edible. Guys, I have to tell you, I am going to, while we wait for our glaze to dry, I'm gonna try a Shiner prickly pear. I mean, you can make, there are margarita prickly pears. There are juices, sparkling waters, if you guys aren't into margaritas or beer. You can grill the paddles. It's delicious. Grill the paddles, there's nutrients. I had it, actually, it was like a steak, a cactus paddle steak. All sorts of cool things. Guys, this is where we're gonna take and just try to dab out some of the color while it's wet. We're just taking a little bit, see that? And I'm just going in rows because I want to create a little illusion here about the little thorns, the pricklies. And we're doing that. I'm gonna wait till I glaze these other ones. This one will probably work. Yeah, so I did the last one. Again, jumping around and forgetting to tell you, but we will do that. We'll go back and do that in a second. This is almost like the bokeh method, B-O-K-E-H. But believe me, it'll happen. So this is going to be a little bit of a cool scenario for us when we get to our prickles. Okay, let's go to a little bit of light. Actually, we are gonna go, you're not gonna believe it, but we're gonna do a purple. So let's do our first wash of these being a lightish purple. And you see in the sketch, we have them going a little bit in different directions, these fruits, these tuna. So it just adds a little interest. I want you guys to leave this hole in the center. That's where we're looking down into it. If you haven't ever seen one in person, they're really quite something. All over the place here. Amazing. Okay, let's glaze this one. This isn't glazing, sorry. This is the first wash. Well, glazing is what we're gonna do next when we transparently layer one color over the other. I mentioned I'm going to do a full video on that with lots of practice. But you can just get your feet wet with it right now if you haven't done it. It's no problem. You're gonna learn something. Okay, look what I did here. See that? I don't really love it, so I'm gonna get in there with my paper towel and dab that out in the middle. See that? It's okay. Accidents happen, happy accidents. This one was a rather sad accident, so I'm getting rid of it. There we go. Okay, back to the layered wash in there. Okay. And then go around the back rim to show our little, there's a little opening. It's not a deep opening in these, it's just a little top. Okay, it's looking pretty cool. Some of the edges, there's some hard edges there and everything else. That's when you have that line differential, but I'm fine with that. Guys, we have to let this dry all the way. So while we're letting it dry, I'm gonna pause the video. You're gonna wait about 5 minutes, or if you have a hairdryer, you're gonna do it. I don't. And while we wait, I'm gonna toast you guys with it. I'll let you know how it is, but look at that, there's pictures of this prickly pear. It's adorable. Okay, I'm gonna pause and wait. Guys, I've let mine dry a bit. We're gonna start. I wanted to show you this again. How cool is that? And actually this does have prickly pear juice in it. So highly recommend. I'm not a big drinker, but I had to try it and use it as a reference for our picture. Okay guys, so we've let our first layer dry. We're gonna do a couple more layers and glazing. Remember we talked about our sun coming in from the top left. So let's try to find some of the areas where we then want it to be more in shadow. So that will be down here, any bottom right areas. And let's do down here a little bit with this color. We're gonna add different to our glaze. I have a blue-green. So the cool thing about glazing and layering is that you start to change. The colors are optically mixing. They're mixing with our eyes. They're not mixing on the palette. So if you, we'll see this in my tutorial. If you have colors like a red and you layer a yellow on top, you're gonna optically see an orange. So this is what the Renaissance artist used to create that really luminous skin color, like Vermeer and Girl with the Pearl Earring, of course, the famous Mona Lisa, which I saw in Paris if you guys have been lucky enough to go. It was the most amazing experience, not the Mona Lisa herself, but the Louvre. The second time I've been there, this time I really took some time. Okay, guys, let's put a little more of that green, a little greenish, darker in some of these areas at the bottom again. And I'm sort of, like I said, focusing on the bottom. I just want you guys, this is a very thin, transparent layer of paint. And it is going, we're building it up kind of slowly. We're gonna do, like I said, another wash, maybe two. So we're gonna see as we go that this is really just building up nice values for us. Okay, let's go around this guy and leave a white at the top, leave a light space there. So as we go around this paddle, it's clear that it's in front of the other one. See, we're leaving that white. Okay, this one needs some at the bottom. This guy that we have our little whites preserved, we're gonna go back. And while we're doing this now, guys, now that we have some areas glazed, let's go back and see if we can pull out some of that. Yeah, it can now since it's wet. So take your Q-tip and you see I'm just pressing it in and pulling out some of the color. It's absorbing so that we can have our little white spots here. It's not gonna stay like this, I promise. We're gonna add to it. And I'm doing it just in rows. I observed a couple in our neighborhood and they actually kind of go down in diagonal rows. The thorns. I'm gonna do some over here. Okay. Oh, this guy needs some. All right, here we go. Very nice. Okay, I'm gonna do even a little lighter wash for right here. And I wanted to build that a little bit here. Okay. Oh, every time, I don't know if I mentioned, every time I'm dabbing it into here, washing my brush off. Sometimes I'm washing all the colors, sometimes I'm just adding color to make it move easier. Right now, I'm adding some color to make it move a little bit easier. I'm still having my same green color, and I'm just adding a little water to give that a little more fluidity and make it move. Okay, guys, I'm gonna make a little blue now with my green, and this is pretty puddly, which is what you want for layers. So I've got my blue with my green, and I'm making it really thin. The other thing about layers is you need to be confident, get in and get out. So when we do this, you don't want to be scrubbing back and forth. Okay, we're going to make a confident stroke there. Okay, I'm good. Let's move. And we don't want to go back so many times over the same areas. So let's go ahead and add some more area in here. Don't scrub. I just did back and forth a couple of times. You guys don't do as I say, not as I do sometimes. Okay, go in here. And we're trying to make sure we're deepening these areas that are shadowing each other. So down here, we're going to have a little deep, and see this one, we're going to have some deep area here. That's going to give the illusion that this is 3D. So I'm adding this little shadow here, and we're going to make some more of that. Let's deepen that a little bit. And we're going to make sure we continue to drop it. I'm getting more of my sort of neutrally army green. And we're going to be sure to drop it in a little bit underneath where we want there to be shadow later as it dries. Okay, a little bit more down here. I'm going to put in a little bit more down here. So you guys get the idea that we are definitely darkening up what's furthest from the sun. I'm gonna do a little here. Okay, we're gonna be letting this dry. Don't go back to a cocktail or beer. We just one sip is all we get, or we're gonna end up with a crazy painting. But while it's drying, we can do something else. I am softening the bottom of these a little bit as we go, and blending it a little bit with the tip of my brush. You don't want to do too much. You want to let it do its thing. Okay, guys, here's the fun part. We kind of glazed a little purpley color on the bottom of these tuna, the fruit. So now we want to go over with a pink, and I'm going to glaze it with this light glaze. And just like with the cacti petals, we're going to glaze the more color, darker, on the right side that's away from the sun. So let's start with that on each one. And then, so this one, since they're coming down on the top, it's really kind of the top is the glazed part. I'm sorry, the lighter. Let's get rid of that. What on God's green earth? Okay. Then, oh my gosh, well, what is going on? Let me get rid of that. You guys continue doing your thing. So this, if you ever have a huge mistake like that, you can add water, get your dry paper towel, and dab it out. So that's a good thing. It's really cool if you thought about it, that when you're watercoloring, you are dyeing the paper. It's similar to dyeing clothing, dyeing cloth, because I'm using 140 cold press. This is cloth. It's cotton. It's a textile, just about. Okay, guys, let's add a little bit here, and then go around the rim here, because we're gonna need that too, and a little on the back. And a couple of these go in front. I'm gonna do that with this one, like sitting on top of the paddle, and some are sort of behind. And it's good to have, we're doing this one kind of a little diagonally, so we're just, not all of them are in the same direction, kind of. So it's gonna make it look a little more varied for us. Okay, let's let that dry. Okay, let's see. The reason we want our background to be completely dry is so that our next layer doesn't move the layer underneath. Okay, mine is good now. You guys probably want to wait. I didn't pause the video. You guys probably want to wait 5 to 10 minutes. Be more patient than I am, because that makes it a little more successful for you. So I am now adding the green blue in some of my spots, and I'm focusing on the bottoms of the ones that had the bluish tone. I'm wanting to preserve the lights in some of my areas, so I'm gonna leave them alone. This needs color here. What did I do? I left that. this is part of this guy. Interesting. Okay, well I'm gonna have to add that in a little later. It's okay, we're fine. We're fine. We're totally fine. Okay, there we go. Now, let's do a quick wash over the top. I am going to pick up a tiny bit of yellow, just a tiny, really small. I'm gonna warm up just a couple places, just a couple. So I'm gonna do that over here. See that, guys? Isn't that cool when you just add a little yellow, the effects you can get? That definitely warmed up that area. I don't want it everywhere, but I want to add a couple of these little bits of lighter. There we go. Add that there. And not too much more. I might do a little tiny bit here that has the little yellow. You guys step back and look at yours and see, it's your painting. Decide where you think you need some more of anything, whether it's a bluish glaze, a little more of the yellow. I am going to take some water and soften this edge here. So kind of blend it around a little bit. And I'm gonna do the slightest bit more of green just next to it. And the same with this one. I hope you guys are loving yours so far. I'm kind of excited. Okay, I'm just putting in some, a little bit more greens. Look at what we need over here. Did you guys see? We need to add in a little bit of shadowing over here. So I'm putting that there, and I'm going to make sure our shadows are still strong over here and over here. So we want to be sure that we are getting, see how it makes it just pop? We want to be sure we're getting those darker values. So that's why we start out so light. If you're new to watercolor, starting out light is really important. It's really difficult if you're coming from another media. Like most of my art life have done acrylics. Other things as well. Talk to me about mosaics, murals, fiber art, just about everything mixed media, but painting wise, acrylics, pet portrait, all sorts of stuff. And once you're used to working that way, watercolor is about backwards in almost every way. It's literally like learning, unlearning what you've learned, kind of. Some principles are the same, but some methods are completely polar opposite. Okay, I'm liking how that looks right now. I am going to, let's add, if you feel you need it, I'm gonna add a little bit of a reddish pink here now, right to these sides of the fruit. So I'm gonna grab, this is a red. Mine is Pyro Scarlet, kind of a warm red. I'm gonna go to Quin Coral. So I'm gonna keep it kind of, like I said, a little bit in the cooler range. Okay, so we've got that. I'm gonna make it just a little glaze, which is a thin transparent wash. And I'm gonna put some over here, and just get some of that. Get that washed in because it's really gonna give us a nice bright pink, especially where we have the light underneath. So go ahead and glaze that over, and then I'm gonna do this also in the back. So go around your little circle. Okay, so we glazed that on there. So you see that we glazed it and we ended up with a really cool highlight, a big highlight, because that was the first, kind of a first drop in of color for that red. All right, let's take, right now, if you have a brown, we need to add a tiny bit of color to back here inside the holes, because they're not actually white, but we're just trying to warm it up a little bit. So just give it a little bit of color, not necessarily warm it up, but I would like a really light tan. I have a color called Buff Titanium, which is a tan. See? But you can also take a brown and add a lot of water to it. So that's a perfect way to do it. Now let's put it in here, but be careful not to dab it into your pink, which we just did. In there. Just put that in the center there. And then, okay, it's looking pretty good. Let's see if we want to do anything. I'm not loving this harsh line here, so I'm going to blend that a bit. And then I have one more layer and dropping effect for you guys that will be really cool. And that is to drop in a little of the pink or the purple. Trust me, it's going to look great. And I'm going to do it on this one and maybe this one. And I'm trying to keep things kind of in thirds, like balance-wise. I'm going to do a little purple here, here, and here. And we have this. And I chose on the composition that I kind of wanted it to go this direction. That was an intentional choice. I didn't just randomly happen. I wanted to keep it a little bit balanced. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to drop in a tiny bit. And this is dropping in, meaning I have it really wet. So here, here, and here. I'm going to take some of this and just put in a little bit of a purpley edge on some of ours, just to add some cool interest. Literally cool. Cool colors and looks cool. And then if you want, let's take the Quin Coral, which is the really bright, sorry, the Quin Rose, which is what we had used first on our little fruits, and put that in a little tiny place around as well. And that's going to be a really cool look too. So just on the edges, maybe over here. And let's blend it in a little, put a little water so it can move around. Okay, now for the fun part. So we took out the areas here. I'm gonna do a little bit of water to see if I can pull some of this more out, and if not, it's fine. We're gonna vary the areas anyway. Okay, so what I'm doing here is putting some water because I didn't pull it out with the Q-tip before it dried. Don't worry, it's got a little bit of red from my last thing. So I just wet it to see if I can pull some. Yes, I can see because I just re-wet it. So I put drops of water. That was the key to make mine re-wet, reactivated the paint, and then I just was able to pull a little bit of these out. Just a few. It doesn't matter if they're not all over the place. Okay, here's what we're gonna do with that. We are going to take a brown color. So I have, you can use raw umber or burnt sienna, and you can add that together, maybe a little Payne's gray. And I'm going to actually start getting ready to put a little bit of color around where we made these. See what I mean? We're getting ready to do the thorns in a minute. So I'm using this kind of brown, very light, and it's gonna dry lighter. And guys, the reason I'm putting it down here is because that's away from the sun. So focus on the bottom right of these little kind of gaps that we left, and just make some where there aren't holes that you have, see? And I'm doing it diagonally. Here, here. Super cool, super fun. Do some over here. Here's the little hole that we had, and then you make some up. We just want it to be organic. I'm not in love with this right here, so I'm gonna dab some of this. I like the purple look, but I don't want it to be too much. So I'm dabbing while it's wet. You can do it too. I like how it is now. I'm gonna get rid of that too. Okay, see guys, we're still doing this. A little bit of brown around these areas, and these little things where we're gonna have the thorns, and I'm doing it diagonally. Okay, here, here, and let's do that here, and a couple of places here, same here. Okay, we got all that. Let's do, it's gonna dry in a little bit, so we're gonna let that kind of dry. And we're gonna get ready. We need this to dry before we use a gel pen or before you use a paint marker. because it will ruin it. So you don't want wet watercolor in your gel pen. Okay, that's fine. We can fix that later. Happy accidents, right? All right. Anything that we need to do here. Let me show you one thing we should do that I'm seeing now is take our pink, our darkest pink, and re-outline right under the front. Look, guys, that makes a huge difference. See, and this one doesn't have a hole. Oh my gosh, we can't. That was the one that we had that doesn't have a hole. So if you made it, just fill it in. And then here, and I just want it to have a little bit more, like a little depth there. It's gonna make it look a little more realistic. Okay, and if you want to, we're gonna add one more thing to that and then we'll be done. Okay, last thing, I want you guys to deepen these shadows one more time. It's gonna be looking great. I think you'll be really happy with it. So let's deepen this one and this one because these are way up there in the sun. And then this one, this one, this one, this one. A little bit here and the bottom of here, the bottom of here. See, you guys, I went real deep with this one. I added a very heavy pigment of blue-green. A little bit of that here, a little here. Okay, I think it's looking awesome. Are we ready for the final touches? I know you guys are. This is looking really cool, I think. Okay, gel pen, let's make sure it's somewhat dry. Well, no, what? No, you know what? We're gonna do the thorns. So I have a smaller brush. I have a 6. You can use the tip of your fatter brushes if you have a really good point. But I'm gonna use a 6. Okay, let's take some raw umber. I might put a little blue into it. We don't need these to be, I don't want them to be black. It's too cartoonish. Okay, spin it around so it's just kind of inky. And then for these thorns, just kind of throw them in there. They come in like groups of 2. Sometimes 3, I think. And they go kind of in different directions, but what I noticed on my walk today is mostly kind of down if they're on it. They don't fling all over the place, but just vary it up and make it look really organic. And you don't have to hit everywhere on the thing. We're just giving the sense that they're what they are. Make them as skinny as you can. I did a rose tutorial where making curly cues. You can use your pinky to anchor the brush if you like, but we're trying to make it really skinny. Okay, go around and make those wherever you'd like. Mix it up. I don't want them to be super obvious. Like that one I really like because it was kind of thin. That one's a little dark, but whatever, it's gonna work. And then just put them all around. So fun. Anywhere you see them. And we'll also add a little bit of white. Don't forget all of these too, because they all have them. They are full of them. The thorns. I don't know how they're prepared for cooking, but I ate one. It must be completely dethorned first and then I think grilled or baked. I'm not sure. Mine was grilled. I really liked it, except that was the dinner where I also had a serrano pepper without knowing it. And I have 0 tolerance for heat or spice. I thought they were gonna have to airlift me out. My family makes fun of me because I just can't handle it. Anything, any spice. The mildest spice is terrible for me. Okay, these got a little thick up here. I'm gonna dab them a tiny. You guys are seeing me dab a lot today. That's okay, we're okay. Also, a couple can come out the side. That's gonna make it look really cool too. Do a couple places where they're coming out. Not everywhere, but just some, choose some spots. And that'll give us the illusion that we've got these everywhere. Okay, that is looking awesome. Here's one more thing that we're gonna do. I'm ready, I think, with my gel pen. So take your gel pen and let's dot your fruits because they have pretty white dots on the front of them, but we don't have to be like obnoxious amount. just put some on there. My gel pen is having a little issue. There we go. And they also kind of go in diagonals, but just tiny little dots. If you guys don't have a gel pen, totally fine. You could use a little white gouache. You could, then that's thick watercolor. That's almost works like acrylic. You could use acrylic paint. Okay, we're gonna now do one cool thing that's gonna make it all pop out is go around the rim of your fruits. Look at, isn't that so cool? Okay, go around there. And that made it really pop out. If you want to too, you can put a dot here. It would make that pop out too. You can put, let's see how that looks. Oh yeah. You can put that right inside some of the places where we made the illusion that there was a shadow, a divot, like here. Kind of where these things are coming out from. If you like it, you can add that. You don't have to. In some places, maybe some places here where we didn't get anything. You know what, guys? I think we should always also add a couple of white lines next to the thorns, here and there. Look, let's see. You like it? I think that's awesome. What do you guys think? I like that. Check it out. It just gives, I don't know, it just gives it a little bit more something. I can put a couple in where we don't have anything, because they don't all have to be brown. We can make it up. It's our painting, we can decide. This one needs to be thinner. Okay, guys, what do you think? I'm excited. I hope you guys are. And if you haven't, go ahead and try some Shiner Box. I mean, who knew? Some Shiner Prickly Pear. Thanks for coming. Keep the mojo flowing. I'm going to have a great tutorial on glazing, but I'm also going to have some other fun ones coming up. So have a great day. See you in the studio next time.